Chapter 15 Reunion with the Duchess. "You can't imagine how glad I am to see you again, you dear old thing," said the Duchess, tucking her arm affectionately into Alice's as they walked off together. Alice was glad to find the Duchess in such a good mood. Perhaps it was only the pepper that had made her so mean earlier. "When I'm a Duchess," Alice thought, "I won't have any pepper in my kitchen at all. Soup does very well without pepper. Maybe it's always pepper that makes people hot-tempered," she went on, pleased at having found a new kind of rule. "Vinegar, that makes people sour, and sugar makes children sweet-tempered. I wish people knew that. If they did, they wouldn't be so stringy about candy and cakes." Lost in their thoughts, Alice had forgotten about the Duchess, and so was startled to hear a voice close to her ear. "You're thinking about something, my dear," said the Duchess, "and that makes you forget to talk. I can't tell you what the moral of that is, but I'll remember it soon." "Perhaps it doesn't have a moral," Alice remarked. "Tisk, tisk, child," the Duchess scolded. "Everything has a moral, if only you can find it." She squeezed herself closer to Alice's side as she spoke. "The game's getting on better now," Alice said, trying to keep up the conversation. "Yes," said the Duchess, "and the moral of that is, oh, 'tis love that makes the world go round." "I believe you once said," Alice whispered, "that it's done by everybody minding their own business." The Duchess rested her sharp little chin on Alice's shoulder, which Alice didn't like much. "Ah, well, it means almost the same thing," said the Duchess, "and the moral of that is, take care of the sense, and the sounds will take care of themselves." How fond she is of finding morals in things, Alice thought to herself, but they make no sense at all. "I'm not sure what your flamingo thinks of me being so close," the Duchess said after a pause. "He might bite," Alice cautioned, hoping the Duchess would go away. "Very true," said the Duchess. "Flamingos and mustard both bite, and the moral of that is, birds of a feather flock together." "Mustard is not a bird," said Alice, pointing out the obvious. "Right, as usual," said the Duchess. "What clear way you have of putting things." Suddenly, her smile faded, and Alice felt her beginning to tremble. Alice looked up. There stood the Queen in front of them, with her arms folded, frowning like a thunderstorm. "A fine day, your Majesty," said the Duchess, in a timid voice. "I give you fair warning," shouted the Queen, stamping on the ground. "Either you or your head must be off in about half or no time. Take your choice." The Duchess took her choice, and was gone in a moment. "Let's go on with the game," the Queen said to Alice. Too frightened to say a word, poor Alice slowly followed the Queen back to the croquet field. The other guests had taken advantage of the Queen's absence by resting in the shade. The moment they saw her, however, they hurried back to the game. The Queen remarked that a moment's delay would cost them their lives, so the game went on. All the time they were playing, the Queen argued with the other players. "Off with his head," or "off with her head," was heard throughout the competition. Anyone the Queen sentenced was taken into custody by the soldiers, who had to stop being archers to do so. After half an hour or so, there were no archers left, and all the players, all except the King, the Queen, and Alice, were in custody and under sentence of execution.